Hello and welcome to Insights. Chances are if you own a smartphone, then you may be able to access your bank account at any time and from anywhere that you can get a signal. And that's a pretty big shift for an industry that coined the term banking hours. Here to talk with us about the dynamics of mobile banking are Brian Johnston, a principal in Deloitte Consulting and the leader of the banking consulting practice. And we also have Eric Piscini, a senior manager and the leader in Deloitte mobile banking technology practice. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. My first question, Brian, is over to you, and that is, how is mobile technology changing the banking landscape?
Yeah, sure. It's growing at a very fast pace right now. It's not just how banks are leveraging mobile technology in the platform to sell and service their customers in a different and unique way, but it's also how they're leveraging it from an internal perspective, making their employees more effective and efficient. I would probably say that out of the top 25 banks, I'm not sure there's one out there that doesn't have some type of focus or initiative in place right now focused on the mobile channel. In terms of sort of sizing it up, it's an $86 billion market right now in terms of mobile payments. It's grown 300% over the last 3 or 4 years. We see significant growth over the next 3 to 4 years. By 2015, there's forecasts out there that say it'll be a $400 billion market.
And how about you, Eric? How do you see mobile changing the marketplace?
So I think what we have to keep in mind is Asia and Europe are leading the market today, and we are kind of behind. So they are leading the market in terms of adoption, and also in terms of features. So they are providing additional features to their customers that we are not providing today yet in the US. And that might be why there is a gap in the US between the supply and the demand, if you want. So the supply, you have 80% of the population covered by some sort of mobile banking features. They are able to use it if they want to, but only 10% of them are using it. So there is a huge gap that we can fill if we provide the right customer experience, the right features, and the right environment to do that.
So Asia is leading the way because?
Well, if you look at Asia, some of those countries in Asia are using mobile banking significantly, mainly because almost everybody has a smartphone.
That makes sense. So when we think about mobile banking, is this just a customer service play, or is there some business value here? Because clearly customers are benefiting. You can access your stuff anywhere, but are there other values for the business?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both there. Right now, banks are really trying to figure out how to stand up the mobile channel. Right. The next piece of work is going to be how to integrate the channel so that you have an integrated channel experience, both from a selling and a servicing perspective. So that's what they're really focused on now. Additionally, they're trying to change customer behavior. For instance, certain transactions that occur within a branch are 50 times cheaper if it occurs through a mobile application, mobile channel. So how do you shift customer behavior from a branch into that mobile environment? So there's cost plays in terms of cost efficiency and cost effectiveness, but there's also a revenue play. There's certain banks out right now that are focused on teaming with retail partners to offer coupons to their customers. So there's cost play, there's the revenue play, and then of course there's the integration across the channels that they're very focused on.
Yeah, I think the integration is critical, and you have to look at mobile banking and mobile technology in general as an enabler of existing channels. And I give you 2 examples. The first one is you want to call the call center at the bank, and you want to know if you're going to have to wait on the phone before you talk to someone. You can open your application, you can see on real time how long you're going to have to wait and decide whether you're going to call now or you're going to call later. Example number 2 is the video chat. So you can pretty much have a video chat with your financial advisor while you're walking in the street because you have a question about the market today, or you have a question about your portfolio. And you can do that while walking using a video chat on your mobile phone. Very exciting features. In addition to that, the elephant in the room is mobile payment. And how are you going to be tomorrow able to leave your home without your wallet, but with your mobile phone, because you have everything you need in your mobile phone or your smartphone, and you can pay for everything you need to pay during the day.
That's pretty exciting. Brian, I can see you want to add something.
I think those are great examples from a banking side of things, but there's also a threat out there, and it's this disintermediation term, which we're seeing certain applications pop up recently that really aggregate financial accounts and aggregate bill payer providers, and that application is really linking it. So it's really taking the bank out of the loop. The barrier to entry is probably low, so we're not quite sure how that's going to play out. But anytime you have some type of aggregation device which can really bring financial accounts together, I think there's some type of reason for concern.
And we have to take into account social networks as well. I think this is one of the key success factors for increasing the adoption rate, is integration with the Facebook, the Twitter of the world, and have a customer experience that include all of that into one application.
Now, I have to admit, I'm a big fan of this idea of losing a wallet, because mine's about that thick. But it begs the question, is it safe? Is it safe to having all of your financial data right there in front of you as you're walking down the street making these transactions?
It's amazing, how many security challenges we are facing with these new technologies. So obviously it's easier to lose your phone than to lose your computer, because you are with your phone all the time. Mm-hmm. So you have very unique situations where security concerns that have to be addressed. Data theft, identity theft are very important. On the flip side, though, the mobile technologies are offering you very unique features, security features, to improve that level of security. And for example, you can imagine you initiate a transaction through your mobile phone, and you want to authenticate yourself. And to do that, you take a picture of yourself with your phone, and you send that picture to the bank. The bank recognizes you and authorizes the transaction. So that's a feature that were not available before, providing additional security.
Right. Yeah, regarding identity theft, I think the jury's still out regarding whether that risk increases or decreases because of the mobile channel. I think there's probably a lot of good reason out there to say that it could decrease. What we're seeing is instant email notifications given certain types of transactions that occur that could be fraudulent. So understanding what's going on in your account in sort of an instantaneous fashion is actually a great benefit to the customer. GPS technology is another thing that the banks are starting to look at and leverage. So for instance, if I'm in St. Louis and I conduct a transaction and on my account there's another transaction 5 minutes later in North Carolina, well, that's going to raise some fraud flags, which I will then be notified instantaneously, and I'll be able to take action on that. So while we're not quite sure about the identity theft side of things and how things may evolve, I think there's good reason to believe that it could in fact be reduced.
So there's a potential that it could in fact make it safer.
Could.
Correct.
My last question for you is about leading practices. So you mentioned that many of the big banks are involved already, but clearly as this market is growing, more and more of the smaller banks are going to jump on. So what are the leading practices in mobile technology?
Yeah, I think I'll highlight just a couple. The first is to really create that integrated channel strategy. So we talked about the banks are focused on getting the mobile channel up and running. Well, how do you really create that integrated channel strategy at the enterprise level to really, one, reduce your cost structure, number two, increase your revenue growth, and number three, really create that integrated sales and service experience for the customer. Very, very important. And we talked earlier about some ways that banks were doing that. The other thing is from a customer segment perspective. And what I mean by customer segment is more from a generational perspective. In terms of baby boomers will embrace this type of technology on the mobile channel in a much different way than Gen Y. Gen Y expects things instantaneously. They want to bank anytime, everywhere. Et cetera, et cetera. I know that because I have a 15-year-old, and he walks around with his iPhone and he expects, instant sort of gratification and results. And I think that's what that generation does. And so banks really need to be able to cater to those needs and understand that it's a much different sort of behavior than what we've seen in the past with other generations. And if they don't focus on that type of behavior, I believe it could be a lost generation.
And that leads into a very interesting concept around mobile applications, where you have to develop something that's fun. Banking is not fun, but you have to make it fun because you are on the mobile banking channel. So you have to design applications that are very attractive to the Gen Y. And the user interface is going to be something that's going to be very different than when you develop websites or ATM screen, for that matter. That also leads to provide this experience, this great experience to your users. Integration with your backend systems is going to be the critical challenge to overcome. You have to find a way to connect your front end, your mobile banking application, with your backend systems. Core banking, CRM, risk management. You need to find a very good way to interface those systems. If you don't, the customer experience is going to suffer and the adoption rate is going to go down.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight that because I think that's a very critical point as we move forward in this space. It's very easy, well, it's relatively easy to create a front-end application, right? There's probably millions of applications out there today, and there's more and more that are being built, every day. So that seems to be the easy part, but within the banking world, connecting that front-end application to the back-end infrastructure that's very complex, it's legacy-based. I mean, Eric talked about many of the different legacy platforms that they have in place today. Creating that integration and that connection is going to be very challenging. So that's going to be the critical part, I believe, of really leveraging and making this mobile experience and mobile channel an effective customer experience going forward. When I look out 5 to 10 years and see how the banking industry is going to evolve, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pure mobile bank. That is, no branches, no call center. All of the legacy channels won't be there. It'll just be purely a mobile channel bank. And we'll see how things evolve, but I think the technology exists and the customer behavior in terms of the younger generation is there, that we may see that evolve over the coming years.
Yeah, if you don't have a smartphone, well, you don't have a bank.
Wow. So no more vacuum chutes either, drive-up vacuum chutes. It's a different world, gentlemen. Well, hey, thank you very much both for joining us today. We've been talking about the business of mobile banking with Brian Johnston, a principal in Deloitte Consulting and the leader of the banking consulting practice, and Eric Cassini, a senior manager and the leader in Deloitte mobile banking technology practice. If you'd like to learn more about Brian, Eric, or any of the topics discussed on today's broadcast, you can find that information on our website. It's Deloitte.com/InsightsUS.